Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I am so excited to see some of you guys already here. We have June, we have Sharon, we have Stefan. Hi, guys, or Stefan. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Kristen is already here with us as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this lovely Thursday. First of all, I missed you guys last week. I had a great time. I ended up actually going to meet my college girlfriends in Miami last Thursday, and I was on a plane at the exact time that we were supposed to be doing this. So I first of all wanted to shout out and say I missed you guys and thank you for coming back to us on this Thursday. As always, if you are either new here or you've been with us every Thursday, you can always drop any comments that you may have about our training today in the comments of this video. Also, if you are not able to join us live and you are watching the replay of this, feel free to drop it in the comments of the video on the replay, and I will be the personal one to respond to all of those. So any questions you have, that is what this is for. We are going to obviously do a live training together today, but I am also going to leave room for live Q&A throughout the entire training, okay? With that said, if you guys, whether you are again new or you've been here every week with me for the past like 6 months, it's crazy that we have been doing this since February, like 15th. It's so crazy. But whether you're new or you've been here for the long haul with me, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and like this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so that we can obviously help as many Etsy and e-commerce sellers as much as possible by being pushed through the algorithm by your engagement. So please make sure you do that really quickly. You should be able to literally just click the like button right above my head. And then also, I want to just let you guys know something, a little piece of housekeeping, but also an exciting announcement. If you guys are familiar with the creator, his name is Scott Volker. And he is actually the owner of Brand Creators on YouTube. And he's actually coming to do a Coffee with EverBee takeover next Thursday. I am super excited about it. We are doing a live interview together. It's going to be the exact same time as right now, next Thursday, August 29th at 10 a.m. He has built so many different types of online businesses. He has been doing email marketing for over, I think he said, when we spoke on Tuesday, I think he said 2 decades. So over 20 years, he has been using email marketing to boost his sales, to grow his business. So that is what we are really going to be focusing on next Thursday with our Coffee with EverBee takeover by Scott from Brand Creators. So highly recommend also putting that notification button on, the little bell icon right above this video, because he is going to be here next Thursday and I do not want you guys to miss out. Okay. With that, that's all I have for today for some housekeeping. So let's go ahead and just dive right into the training. So today we are going to be talking about, if you happen to see a video that I posted a few weeks ago back in July, there was some new creativity standards adjustments, changes, updates, and the Etsy CEO, excuse me one second, this is falling. The Etsy CEO kind of let us know that these are the new things that you guys should be doing and staying in compliance with. And I scoured YouTube. I looked everywhere on YouTube. I looked everywhere on Google. I tried my best to find the best information for you guys about photos. Like, what should you be doing with your photos? And there was really nothing out there. So I was like, okay, fantastic. This is a great training for us to do together live. So you can ask any questions, or again, if you're watching this on the replay, you can drop any questions in the comments that you might have about what you should or should not be putting in your mock-up photos, whether it be listings that you're doing going forward, or maybe there might be some adjustments that you need to make to your current listings to stay in compliance. Okay. So that's what we're going to be going over today. Again, if you have any questions while we're going through these, if you've been on this training call with me before, you know that I usually, after every like fourth or fifth slide, I go check the comments. We put a pause on the training and I address anything that you guys have in real time. So feel free. Don't wait till the end. I got you. Pop them in the comments and we will address them as they come in. Okay. All right. So with that said, the first thing I did want to say, like we did talk about a second ago, is if you have not reviewed the new creativity standards that I just alluded to that dropped in July of this year, I highly recommend going and finding this video on our channel. So you'll see this is the thumbnail. This is exactly what it's going to look like. I believe it was posted on like July 14th or July 20th or something of that nature. But this is going to be a breakdown of basically why we are going over what to put in your mockups going forward. This is literally directly from the CEO. I basically did, I want to say an 11 or so. Oh, it's literally 11:28. I did like an 11 and a half minute training for you guys, basically going over the top main adjustments or updates that we believed was most important to you guys. So please go watch that after this if you haven't already, because it will make a lot more sense for what we're talking about today. Next, I want to go ahead and dive into the thumbnail photo itself. So the thumbnail photo is the first photo. So it's the first thing that anybody sees when they try to find your listing. So the purpose of this thumbnail photo, first and foremost, is again, this should be the first thing shoppers see. So it should be eye-catching, should be relevant, and it should entice them to want to learn more about your item, okay? What I say here, just for some tips on this, and we are going to go type of seller by type of seller. So whether you're POD, you're handmade, you're digital, does not matter. I'm going to show you guys exactly what could or should be in that first thumbnail. So we want to feature the entire product. Again, no matter what type of seller you are, you can include like props or context or a background of sorts that really tells the story of the product even more, but not in a way that's going to distract it. So what I mean by this is if you have like a jewelry box, but you're only selling a bracelet, for example, and you have a lot of other things in the jewelry box, that is not a good placement of props or context or background. What could work really well, however, is actually showing like a hand, for example, or maybe it's like a kind of downward facing photo of you wearing the bracelet or another creator wearing the bracelet or whatever that may be. So I highly recommend that you think about the context with the actual product being the very first and most significant and important thing of the image, okay? I also want to highlight this little thing right here because I don't think enough people are doing this. You want to use lifestyle mock-up photos you've taken yourself, or photos that another creator has taken for you. I'm going to get into exactly what that means or could look like in just a second. And then as it relates to our digital sellers, I want to make sure that you are, this is a funny word that I've seen a lot, so I wanted to use it, like Etsifying your thumbnail photo. So basically, I'm going to show you plenty of examples, but what that means is it looks similar to what else is performing well on Etsy. So it is Etsified. It is following all of the standards. It's not too much like text or too many examples of your digital product right there on the thumbnail, but it is just enticing enough to get them to click through. Okay. So back to the creators making something for you really quickly. I wanted to let you know this was a very, very highly requested and highly anticipated video. People have been asking me for months now. I probably should have done this earlier, but I've been literally asking me for months now, how do I utilize UGC, which stands for user generated content? How do I use UGC creators or influencers in my own Etsy shop? And I actually made a video for you. So I highly recommend, again, after this training, if you have not watched the Etsy creativity standards video, go do that. Number two, if you have not watched this video, we just launched this on Tuesday, about 48 hours ago. If you have not watched this, I literally go step by step how to find and source creators, how to negotiate pricing with them, how to get a contract live with them, and then what types of content you should be asking for from them in order to use it best in your stuff. So this could be a combination of videos and photos, or if you don't really want videos right now, you just want lifestyle photos, this is still a really great video to watch. So again, if you haven't seen this yet, highly recommend it. Is literally the very first thing when you go to our channel. It'd be the very first video for you. Cool? All right, so back to the thumbnail. The goal of the thumbnail, like we said a second ago, is to pique interest and get them to switch from an impression to a view to a click. So that's the goal of every thumbnail photo, is you don't want them to just scroll past you. First of all, that would be considered an impression. You also don't want them to just hover over you and then move on. That would be considered a view. What we want them to do is basically go through that subconsciously. They don't know that they're doing it, obviously, and it happens in a couple of like probably milliseconds, but we want them to convert to a click through at minimum because of that thumbnail photo. And then you have the ability to capture them as a sale or a conversion or an add to cart or a favorite, all of the other actions that they can take once they get to the listing. Okay. Something else I wanted to say really quickly about why the thumbnail photo is so imperative is because of the new entry of gift mode, which I want to say came out in March of this year, give or take. I could be wrong on that. But I believe it came out in February or March, which is basically AI on Etsy. So they have this artificial intelligence now that when someone types in gift for father, gift for nanny, gift for mom, whatever, they have this new way of searching called gift mode. And as you can see, gift mode, this is quite literally a screenshot when I typed in gift for new moms or something. You don't have a title. You don't have shipping. You don't have technically you do have a video, but really it's the thumbnail photo that is capturing people in the first couple of seconds, and there's nothing else to look at. So really, this has to be the most important thing. All you're getting is the price with the discount and the thumbnail photo. So I really wanted to just drive that home if I haven't already over the past 5 minutes of focusing on thumbnail photo. I really wanted to drive home why it's so important for two different reasons. Obviously, the conversion for a click-through rate getting higher for you, which tells Etsy that something is doing well and they're going to keep pushing that out to people. And then number two, obviously, is because of the importance of gift mode now. So now I wanted to show you guys two examples per type of seller that are doing really well on Etsy already based on the thumbnail. So the first two that I'm seeing is this is basically what I was considering like a POD seller, so a print on demand seller. So we have this one that is obviously this is very Halloween based because it's August. But so we have this one that has the item in a flat lay mock-up. So this is obviously, if I'm not mistaken, it's either a Gildan or a Comfort Colors. I'm pretty sure this is Gildan 18,000 crew neck. But then they also, it's very simple. I know exactly what the item is. There's nothing behind it. It's a very easy neutral style background. This is a mock-up photo that they more than likely purchased from a mock-up seller, which is totally okay in the creativity standards update. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We can do this, but I will tell you what we cannot do in a few minutes. Okay, so we can use this. The other thing they have that I thought was interesting. I don't know if it's necessary, but I always say numbers tell a story. So if this is a bestseller and they just launched this listing like a month ago, it might be working for them. So I'm seeing free fast shipping as a little like icon, a sticker overlay, and then more than 10 colors and sizes. In my opinion, I think this is a little bit more than I might personally want to put on a thumbnail image myself. But what they did a fantastic job of is this is the main event. And then this is the supplemental information. Okay, so if you want to go that direction, this is obviously working very well for them. The second thing I saw, this is actually a mug listing, and I don't know if you guys knew that. So that's what's really important that I wanted to show here is this is a bestseller, or Etsy's pick, something of the sort. So it is doing really well. It's selling a lot. Obviously, it's also very on trend and seasonally based right now. However, when I first saw this, I was like, am I getting the sweater? Am I getting the mug? So I think this is great. I think it's an incredible lifestyle mock-up, but I would have maybe just placed somewhere like the mug is the product that we're trying to sell, just so there's absolutely no questions that someone might have by reviewing this. But using this as an example, this would be a fantastic thing. By the way, they more than likely bought this from a mock-up seller. However, this would be a fantastic example of what you could get from a UGC creator or an influencer. Okay. Last but not least, before I get to any questions we have currently in the comment section, is handmade bestseller thumbnail. So as you can see, these are both Etsy picks and they are making a lot of money. And they're also like, I think this one was in like 12 carts. This one was in like 20 plus carts. I don't even know what these are, to be honest. They might be like little plant holders. But this is just a very easy background, is very, very focused on the product being the main event right there in the middle. And then they were able to explain further in the actual other 9 photo space that they have. And then obviously this is, in my opinion, even better. We have, again, a neutral background. And like I said a second ago, we do have multiple different products in this. Okay. So we might want to adjust this a little bit. It's completely up to you. But what I'm seeing when I see this is the front, or the thing when it's closed, the thing when it's opened, and how to use it. So I do think this is a really good thumbnail because it's basically showing me 3 different photos in one. Hope all that makes sense. So with that said, let's head over to the comments. I've got about 4 right now. I want to make sure if there's any questions I can address before we continue on. Hi guys. Everybody said they're from different locations. They're hot in Texas. They're in Louisiana. Amazing. All right. So someone said, my question is, can we still use Placit's mock-up photos? And what about Placit's videos? This is such a good question. I've gotten this multiple times. Yeah. So I get really nervous personally answering this question because I never want to be the reason why something gets shut down or something gets taken down from your shop. The answer I'm going to give, and this covers everything, by the way. This is not just Placeit. This is not just Etsy mock-up sellers. This is a blanket statement for literally anything you do. The photo and or the video has to accurately, like 100% accurately, depict what the buyer will be receiving at the end result. So what comes into their hand must match what you are putting out on those 2 locations. Okay. So let's say you go to Placeit. They do not have, let's say, like Gildan 18,000 hoodie or 18,000 crew neck. They don't have that necessarily, but they do have something similar, of course, where you could type in female wearing white crew neck. That's where I get a little like flustered with the question, simply because it is technically not an accurate, 100% accurate depiction of what the end buyer will receive. So just keep that in mind. I think that's most important for the thumbnail, but I think we could maybe utilize those kinds of things for the remaining 9. Just a thought, but that's just my feedback. Again, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I am saying it must accurately depict. So if you could find something that you feel very, very comfortable matches that criteria, by all means. Hi, do you have to make a special mock-up for every photo in your listing, all 10 of them? What's a fast way of doing that? L Green, if you wouldn't mind actually elaborating on your question a little bit for me. I don't know what you mean by a special mock-up for every photo, but every photo needs to be different, if that's what you're asking, which we are actually, by the way. I might answer your question by getting back to the training, because I'm going to go over what should be included in the other 9 additional photos in just a few minutes. So bear with me. That might be. Someone just said, would be great if you can show some picture examples on it. We are doing that. Don't you worry. How would you modify the jewelry box thumbnail? You mentioned it was confusing that there are several products that could be for sale. So like I said a second ago, I would actually not adjust this. I think it looks great because they're basically showing in action the front of it and it being obviously opened. The only maybe thing I would do is, actually, I have plenty of other examples that this seller used in their other 9 examples. So let me pause on answering the question and I'll show you what I might have replaced it with. I might have moved this one to photo number 2, for example. I hope that makes sense. But let's scroll down and get that answer for you. All right. So, sorry, I forgot to show you these digital bestseller thumbnails. So this is what I meant. I'm so sorry. I accidentally skipped over this one. This is what I meant by Etsifying your immediate first photo for digital sellers. So this is obviously a bestseller right here. I personally think there's a couple things on here that could be taken off. I think it's like this cat is adorable, but it's completely unnecessary. I also don't know if it's necessary to have like rainbow color in the font. It's a little detracting from the background, in my opinion. Whatever, that's just me. However, what I will say is adding the Notion icon, great idea. Utilizing the mock up of a desktop or a laptop or a phone, great idea. Really big font that shows exactly what they are actually going to be getting and they should try to learn more. Great idea. I also really like these things that basically show what else they are going to be getting. However, as a buyer myself, I don't know what fully integrated means. So maybe that would pique my interest enough to be like, what is that? Is she going to explain that in the further 9 photos? Maybe, but I would just not have that on there at all personally, or I would explain it a little bit more. I love the new update. That's really nice here. I also love Overwhelm Free simply because I actually do have ADHD, hence why I chose these two because they were right there on my you might like these suggestions from Etsy. So Overwhelm Free, I'm like, sign me up. I'm overwhelmed 24/7. That sounds fantastic. So I love all of those additions. However, this right here, at the Seeker Society, not necessary at all. On the thumbnail photo, it is very, very small, so it's not a big deal at all. But that is just valuable real estate that, like, they don't care, no offense, but they don't care who you are. They just care what the product is going to do for them. So we don't need to talk about ourselves at all unless you're doing something like for me, for example, I teach people how to make money online. Like that is my entire business. So if I had like maybe right here instead of my brand's name, I had, this is actually a true number. I've helped people over the past year make over $125,000 for themselves. Like that would make sense here because that's piquing interest. That is helping someone want to go learn more through the other 9 photos. Hope that makes sense of why I wouldn't put my name, but instead I would put my credentials, if that makes sense. And lastly, in my opinion, I think might be a little bit overwhelming, ironically, because it says ADHD, which means that it shouldn't be overwhelming, but it also is giving me a really, really good idea of what I can expect. Okay. So when I look at this one, this is less overwhelming to me as a buyer or a searcher. This is more aesthetically pleasing than this one. However, I don't really know what I'm getting from this. It's a Notion template, but I only see the first thing. So it might be beneficial for you guys that are in the digital space to do A/B testing on 2 different types. Does the thing that shows not all, but like a good majority of what they're going to get do better for you? Or does just showing one simple screenshot do better for you? Might be a good idea to test them against each other. All right, let's now get into the 9 additional photos. So I hope this also, by what we're going to go over in just a second, I hope this answers that question of what I would have done differently on the jewelry box thumbnail. By the way, it's perfect as is, but would I have changed anything? Let's go over it, okay? So for your 9 additional photos, we're going to go over all these different things, but different ways that this particular seller did a fantastic job at showing exactly what the product is going to be. And they're obviously making a buttload of money because of it. Okay. So the first thing is going to be angles and details. So close-ups that highlight the texture, the material, or special features of the product. So a quick example, if I scroll in, I can see that this is, I don't even know what material this is now that I'm thinking of it out loud, of course. But whatever that like kind of squishy material is. And then this is like a nice brown kind of faux leather on the inside. Like by being able to just see this photo, I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. Okay. Number 2 is contextual shots. So I want you to show the product in use, or as you can see, even just being shown with your own hands, like something that shows like this is what you're going to get ready for it. I also put for digital or print on demand sellers, I want you to, again, ensure, just in case you're using Placeit, just in case you're buying something from somebody else, the mock-ups have to be a clear, accurate, and true depiction of exactly what the product will look like at the end in real life once the buyer gets it. Okay. The next thing we can do is variations. So display any different colors, size, or personalization options that you do offer. And again, if it is customizable, if it is personalizable, another photo in itself could be cool. How do I personalize that? What can I personalize? Are there font choices? Are there color choices? Are there placement choices? That could technically be 5 photos in itself. And then you're halfway done with what you have to do for your listing. Next is scale. So, providing an image that gives a sense of the product's size, again, whether you're using a sizing chart or next to a common object. So, a quick example, I'm going to scroll back up. This could also have been the scale and the contextual image. What I mean by that is you could have used this one image and cut it down from 2 to 1. This is contextual, lifestyle, right? But then we could have also put the little lines right here that showed exactly how big it is. So not only am I seeing it contextually, not only am I seeing it in a normal sized woman's hands, but I'm also seeing the size chart attached to it. So this, and this, for example, could have been added to that one. Next up, obviously, lifestyle images, like we discussed, capture photos that basically like fit how it would, or be depict, excuse me, how it would fit into their lifestyle. So I really loved this one as the example they had. This is also another great example of what I would not have put for the thumbnail image, simply because there's a lot of stuff going on. That's why I personally like the one they chose better, or I also really like this one as well. Personally, in my opinion, this is completely up to you guys, but in my opinion, this would have been my thumbnail choice. And then I would have used all of the other ones under that. But obviously, I mean, they're making a buttload of money. So don't listen to me. Keep doing what you're doing. All right. So the next thing is, I think this is it. The next thing is process shots. If you are obviously a handmade seller or even a digital seller, you obviously had to self curate something from scratch. Because I'm not sure if you guys know this, but we are no, I was about to say we are no longer able to. I don't think we were ever allowed to, but like MRR and PLR stuff, that's illegal now. Like that is not allowed on Etsy based on the creativity standards update. Again, go watch that video if you haven't yet, especially if you are reselling things that someone else created. Okay. Just a little caveat, a little side note there. But if you are self-curating, which you should be, if you're a digital seller or a handmade seller, showing your process, showing who you are as a brand, like really owning that you built this from scratch, because technically that's why Etsy exists, right? Also, I want to make sure that you don't forget the video space. This is also a really, really good location to utilize those other creators or to get samples if you're a print on demand seller, or like for digital things that I've sold in the past. I simply just did a very, very fast screen record on like a Loom video to show them what the back end would look like or how to navigate through the course that I was selling. Whatever it may be, there's lots of different ways to do this. The best part is you can do it in 15 seconds or less, and there's no sound required. So you could literally just show your product in action, and you will get ahead of the 70% of other listings that are not currently including photos. Okay, there's that. All right, so now we're going to get into the compliance. So how exactly can you stay compliant? What exactly should you be doing to do things right? I'm going to go ahead and put a little pause in that, however, because we do have 14 comments. So I want to make sure I can address all of those for you. Give me 1 second. Let's go ahead and dive into those first. Then we're going to get into how to stay in compliance. Let me see. Y'all asked a lot of questions. Okay. Instead of using Printify's mockups, you must use all bot mockups instead of doing a great thumbnail and the rest being Printify's mockups. I'm not sure if that's a question or a statement, but yes. um, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you can use, like, if you're using a print on demand provider, you can use that as the first one. You can enhance that as your first one. Completely up to you. Whatever is going to, again, accurately depict what it's going to be at the end. That's the answer. Okay. Can you use a mock-up image as the thumbnail for printable wall art? Yes, of course. That is a digital product that, unless you're printing it out yourself and putting it on your wall, like, oh, sorry, when I go backwards in a camera, I don't know where my finger goes. Unless you're printing it out and putting it on your wall like I have, a mock-up is 100% approved. They said that again, go watch that video and go read the creativity standards for yourself to confirm for your own brand what makes sense. But yes, from what they said, based on the new listing image requirements, that is okay as long as it accurately depicts what someone will be receiving. I want to be very a little like cautious there though, because it's funny, I'm kind of contradicting myself as I'm speaking. If I were a buyer, and which I am, by the way, I buy a lot of stuff on Etsy. If I were a buyer and let's just use this. Oh my God, so hard. Let's use this as an example. Love what you do. Okay. If someone took a photo of this as is, and that was their original thumbnail photo, I might think that they are going to be giving me an 8.5 by 11 printout with a frame. Okay. So that's my little side note or caveat or cautionary tale as it relates to printables and or digital wall art. If you are not giving them a physical item, that might not be the best first thing to do for your thumbnail, simply because truly that, good Lord, man, it's hard to do this backwards. That is not what they're getting. Okay. So just take that cautionary tale, apply it, learn as much as you can from Etsy's mouth and the creativity standards updates. Go read everything you can. Go consume as much information from Etsy and then make the choice for your own brand. I've only just received the notification of this training. Will there be a recording available, please? Yes, of course. These are always recorded. They are live, obviously, but you can always come back to our YouTube channel and go to the live section. There's like videos, live playlist. Go to the live section, and every single live training I've ever done since February of 2024 will be there for you, including this one. Okay, so people are talking back and forth. When you're doing A/B testing, do you use the same title, description, or etc.? That's a good question. We talked about this a lot in the past, where I only personally like to change one, maximum two things if I'm doing A/B testing. The reason why is, let's say you change the photo, the thumbnail photo, you change the title, you change the tags. How the heck are you going to know what worked and what didn't? Like what caused the, sorry, I'm getting too close to my mic. Like what caused the improvement, what caused the result, or what caused it to not do as well as the other one, right? So I personally like to duplicate and A/B test one, maximum two things. So in this particular case, I would say you could adjust the thumbnail. And if you also want to adjust the title, totally fine. Or if you even want to adjust the thumbnail on a current listing that isn't performing as well as you believe it could or should, that's also a really good idea. You don't even have to A/B test, but it's also two different options you can take. Okay, someone said if we order one sample product, then took all our videos and photos of that, then replaced art on those for all products in that format, would that work, or is that overkill? Let me digest this one again. This is a long one. Okay. If we order one sample product, take all of our photos and videos, replaced art on those for all products in that. Okay. I think I know what you mean. All right. So this is a really good question. I used to be a mock-up seller myself. And this was a year and a half ago now. But while I was doing that, I basically bought, I wish I could show you guys. I have it right here. So many, so many products like Bella Canvas, Gildan, Comfort Colors. There's another one that I forgot now. Just Next Level, like all of those different things. So I bought all of those. I put them on my friends, male and female, different body types, different heights, different weights. And then, like you said, I took all of those photos. And then every time that I did a new design, I just placed it on those. In my opinion, that should be 100% approved. Again, go do your own research. I will never say anything with 100% guarantee because that would get me in trouble. Go do your own research. Go look on Etsy's creativity standards, confirm for your own brand. However, I will say that if I'm selling Heather Mauve, Bella Canvas t-shirt, and I put it on a person, and then I just put my design on that shirt. I really do think that that should be approved, but again, I would do that research for yourself just to confirm for your own brand. I scroll right by those listings that show all those pages you get. That's very fair. That overwhelms me. That's kind of what I said too. I would rather see a simple shot for the thumbnail than get into the details. Love that, Valerie. Thank you. I do agree. What I will say though is that is making a lot of money. So obviously there are other people who do like seeing it that way. So that's why I mentioned potentially A/B testing them against each other might be of value. Someone said, "What is MLR?" You can look it up on Etsy. It basically just means, or MRR. Sorry, I think I put your things backwards. MRR. So it basically means like master resale rights, which means you buy something from someone who made this, or they're reselling it too, and it's just this Ponzi scheme, in my opinion. That's not healthy on a place like Etsy. So I would just look it up. You'll find it very quickly, unfortunately. Can we still have listings for just a printing service upgrade, or can we not do that since it's not an actual product? Nope. I actually, it's so funny you say this. I have literally a script on this computer screen. I have 3 computer screens. On this one over here, I have a script of a video that I'm doing for you guys that is going to go live on September 3rd. So 2 Tuesdays from now, because not only was there a creativity standards update, but there are also seller standards updates that are taking effect on September 15th for everyone. Doesn't matter what you sell, doesn't matter what niche you're in, doesn't matter what products you sell. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, cut that bell notification icon on, because you're gonna want to see that, because what you just asked is 100% not allowed anymore. We will discuss that in detail. What is PLR? I just answered that. Please post add to video description the video link you just referred to. Oh, yes, for sure. I was like, I don't know what video you're talking about, but absolutely. Good Lord, sorry. Once I get done with this live training, 100%, I'm going to put the UGC video in the description below, and I'm going to put the creativity standards below. Okay, don't worry. I will do that. Can you do a video on different ways to create product videos? Ooh, that is a really good question. Absolutely. I love that idea. Let me write that down real fast. So, creating product videos. If you guys have any other ideas of like what you would want in that, like maybe how to use creators, how to use samples, feel free to let me know in the comments. And yes, I will go ahead and add that to our list of videos coming in the next few questions. Everyone keeps asking what is PLR MR. Just look it up, y'all. Come on, look it up. It's not something that I will ever condone. It's not something I will ever promote. So I will not be talking about it. I'm telling you what not to do. But if you want to look it up, by all means. Okay. Advice on t-shirt mock-ups. We went over a couple of those already. Basically everything that I put in the 9. So everything that, like, if you could do, actually, you know what? Let's just scroll back up and do it together real fast. So it doesn't matter what you're selling. This was just an example that I found. Angles and details for a t-shirt. So what does it look like from the back? What does it look like from the side? What does it look like on someone of a certain stature, a certain height, etc.? Contextual shots. What does it look like when I'm wearing this at the beach versus someone that's wearing it while they're sitting in their home? Variations. How many colors do you have? Can they personalize it? Scale, size chart would be perfect here. Lifestyle images. Again, we already know what that is. And then process shots. So this isn't really for POD per se, but if you are hand making or hand pressing, your t-shirt, this would be a really, really good place, whether it be video or photo, to show that you are doing that, because a lot of people on Etsy still want to support handmade sellers. Like, even if it's $10 more expensive, they'd rather support you than a POD seller. So if you can show the process behind that, that could be the reason you get a sale in itself. Okay. Ooh, let's go back up. Sorry. All right, let's see. Do you put alt tags on every thumbnail photo or just the first 2 to 3? That's completely up to you. I personally, I think it depends on the photos that you're putting out. So if you're like, let's just use this as an example. So like baby wearing onesie, like that's not that big of a deal if you've put that in 3 different other photos. So I really think it depends on what you are selling and what photos you are using. For example, for me, I use alt in spaces every single time, but I also have to really explain each photo a little bit better because they are not the same. Okay. So it's like back end of content creator course would be one of the alt text on that image, for example. And then the next one would be membership portal back end or something of that nature, right? So it really, again, totally depends on what you're doing. I do recommend using alt text on your images, but it's just how many you want to use it on. My thumbprints. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. My thumbnails, I think is what you meant, but I'm going to call them thumbprints from now on. My thumbnails always get cropped. Do I need to save them in a different dimension? Yes, there is a dimension you have to have these in. Let me just pull it up real fast. One moment, please. Okay, so 570 by 456 pixels should not go bigger than 2500 by 2000 pixels. And they do like to have these things in what's called I believe, 4:3 ratio. So if you feel that they're getting cut off over and over again, or if you're doing like a 9:16 and then you have all this empty space over here, look up exactly what the listing requirements should be. And then whether you're editing this on Photoshop, you're changing it on your phone, you're using Canva, custom size, does not matter to me. Just make it match what Etsy is saying they need it for. The thumbnail of handmade of the jewel box is not handmade. It's a POD product. Potentially. I have seen, so to be honest, that actually started as a handmade product. And then unfortunately, companies like AliExpress and Temu started selling it themselves. And then there's also obviously print on demand providers that now do that as well. So that particular one might be a POD product, but the item itself did start as handmade. Will you recap this video on your YouTube channel? No, because we're currently recapping it right now. So, however, you can rewatch this video at any time in the live section. Okay, so someone said, I don't like all the MRR listings. Etsy shouldn't allow them. They are not. That is completely against creativity standards going forward. However, they have so many of them out there that they are getting taken down very, very slowly. So don't worry, they'll be gone hopefully one day. To do A/B testing, do you create multiple listings with small changes or you change one listing? I've already answered this question, so we're going to skip over that one. With A/B testing, do you keep both products up at the same time? Yep, that's kind of the purpose. A/B testing. So we have A product, we have B product, and we test. So yes. So on a digital, in parentheses, printable product, the main image shouldn't show it as a mock-up printed ? But the other images can. Am I understanding that correctly? Again, I'm not going to say with 100% certainty on that. That is something for you to make the decision for your brand. I was just using that as an example. And we're talking about the actual verbiage of accurately depicting the end result of what a buyer will receive. If you can just keep saying that sentence over and over and get in your head, whatever you feel comfortable with, that's the answer. Okay, so that's the answer, is the accurate depiction. But how do you want to depict that? That's completely up to you. Maybe what you can do is a mock-up listing on the first one, and then say digital product only, or wall art print, or something of the nature. So then you can kill two birds with one stone. For a t-shirt mock-up that has nothing on the back, should you still show the back view? Good question. I don't think it's necessary. That was just an example of like how to show angles. But yeah, if there's nothing on the back, unless you want to show how it fits on a certain style or type of human, I don't think it's necessary. How would I display digital art downloads that I create and sell? That's a very, very, very vague question. There's a bunch of different ways that you could do that. You could show it like what we have up here, like in someone's home. You can show it on like in a frame. You can show it on a mock-up, a lifestyle mock-up. You can show it on an iPad, an iPhone, a laptop. There's literally thousands of ways. So I just recommend going on Etsy and looking at your competition and seeing what's working in that space. I recently had a listing removed by Etsy. I'm apologizing. That sucks. Because it involved a mock-up with the message Happy Thanksgiving in the background. Is that kind of message prohibited on the platform? I would look at why that listing got taken down. I've never seen Happy Thanksgiving be an issue ever, but I could be wrong here. I don't know. I would see if there's anything else that might have gotten that listing taken down. It more than likely wasn't that, but if that's exactly what they said, I would just stray away from it in the future just in case. All right, that was a lot of questions, but thanks so much, guys. I'm glad I got to answer all of those. Let's go ahead and get back into the compliance section really quickly so that we can get through this training for you guys by 11. All right, so compliance with new standards. I've said this ad nauseum. I'm going to say it again. Accuracy. Images must accurately represent what the product or the buyer, what product the buyer will receive. Misleading images can lead to dissatisfied customers and violate Etsy's policy. So this is very blatantly in their creativity standards now. So very blatantly violating their creativity standards for us to use a mock-up that, like an AI mock-up that does not represent what they're going to get. They also don't want you to use any generic AI or stock photos, again, because they do not accurately depict. They also say, not that they say no watermarks or text overlays, but it's really like just make sure that it makes sense and try not to detract from the photo or the product itself. So like I said a second ago, the one that was like the crew neck that had the two little icons, the two little sticker stamps on them, I think it's fine, but like, did that need to go on the thumbnail? Maybe not, but it's definitely not allowed. It's just the product should be the main event, and any overlay, text, whatever, all of that should be just further proof of why they should click through. One thing that I will say that is 100% not approved anymore, I barely ever say guarantee, but this time I am guaranteeing because Etsy actively said it. You are not able to do anything that says your text here. So there's a lot of listings that started with that as the thumbnail. You were allowed to put that in the other 9, but the thumbnail must be an accurate representation of what that person might receive. So if it is a personalized crew neck, for example, instead of putting a lifestyle image that says your text here, you're going to have the actual image on, like what it could look like should they personalize it as the thumbnail. And then you can also have your text here in the later 9. Okay. So like I said, can't do that. You also can't do AI generated mockups unless, I did want to put this in parentheses, it is an AI generated product. You definitely can because it's quite literally AI. They do allow AI, but there are very, very strict guidelines on what is approved under their AI standards. So again, if you have not listened to anything that I've said this whole time, go back and watch that creativity standards video. Again, as someone asked me, I will link them in the description of this video so you guys can check that out. I go over the full list of do's and don'ts for AI in that additional video. But if you are doing an AI generated product, it must originate from your original AI prompt. So it can't be something you got from somebody else. It can't be AI prompts that you generated and you're now reselling. All of that is off limits, but I do go very much so in depth in that creativity standards update video. Again, I can't say this enough, but like if you buy mockups from another seller, so if you go on Etsy, you type in Gildan 18,000 mockups, you buy that, and then you place that same mockup on, let's say, a Comfort Color 16400, which is their version of a long sleeve, going to get you in trouble. Do not do it. Okay. All right. So now let's go through some tips for all 3 of you. So if you're a digital seller, POD seller, or handmade, here are some tips that you can do to make this a lot easier. So we went through what you can't do. We went through what you could do. Now let's talk about individually for each of you what it looks like. So for digital sellers, again, we want to focus on high quality mockups that depict your product in various settings, any unique features and customizability, personalizability, etc. It also might be beneficial to do diverse mockup styles so that you can see like what actually makes sense for your people. Again, you can always A/B, maybe even ABC, test these against each other to show versatility and context. Customization options, of course. How are they going to do it? What does that look like? What do they need to give you to be able to make sure that they get the best end product if you do offer that personalization feature? And then the last thing is something that I think a lot of people miss is like, how do they order it? Is it a digital product and it's not a physical product? I see that a lot. A lot of people put that in there, but they don't actually give like the step-by-step of how to order it, how to download it, where they can access it, stuff like that. Tip for POD sellers. Again, I've said this 1,000 times. I'm going to say it again. Make sure your mock-ups are accurate or you are taking pictures of the actual item itself. You want to show the design on actual products instead of AI, like we've discussed as well. I highly recommend doing lifestyle shots. So again, if you can get samples from your provider, or you can do something like Etsy mock-up Gildan 18,000 fall bundle. If you can grab one of those and it accurately depicts, that could be fine as well. And then I also recommend design variations for these because, like we said a second ago, using that ADHD planner bundle, whatever, as an example, me and another person on this live stream didn't necessarily love that, but they're making a lot of money from it. So obviously other people do. So whatever you can do as a POD seller, using the 9 or 10 examples that I gave you guys, like how can you make that work for multiple different types of buyers? Okay. Last up for handmade sellers is I want you to emphasize the craftsmanship and uniqueness of your product, including tools, workspace, whatever, to emphasize the handmade nature of it. Process photos, like we discussed, like what does it actually take to make that end item? Detailed close-ups. This is something that digital sellers and POD sellers might not be able to do, but you can because you're actively building this. So like this, for example, my husband bought me this leather Apple Watch strap thingy, has my initial on it. It's very, very cute. But like I got this from Etsy, or he got this from Etsy. Like I've been wearing this for like 2 years now. So that's a really good example of how to show the material itself, how to show what it looks like on someone's hand instead of it being a mock-up photo. The last thing I want to say here is talk about your brand. If you can use one image, and by the way, you can use this same image on every single one. You don't have to do this every time you make a new listing. If you can talk about your brand, talk about how you hand make these things, talk about how you're a small mom and pop business, whatever, that is going to potentially, like I said a second ago, get you the sale in itself. Even if you're selling the exact same thing and charging $10 more, lean into that craft, lean into the fact that you are putting hours of your time into building this, because there are still a lot of people who are way, way, way more interested in supporting you as a handmade seller than obviously a what's it called, a POD or digital. Sorry, I got distracted. All right, guys. So that is the end of the training itself. I'm going to remove the PDF really quickly, and I'm going to get to a couple of questions that people are asking here. Let's see. Since we can no longer have listings for printing service upgrades, how best can we offer both a digital and printed option of the design? Would we need 2 separate listings? I would recommend it, or you can do one listing that, again, accurately tells them what they're going to be getting, and you can offer 2 variations in the drop-down menu. That might be the other option. Like I was doing a video the other day about people who sell dog bowl sets, but they were also selling the food dog bowl and or the water dog bowl as individual items as well. Those were in the variation, so that might be what you should do. Someone said I use watermarks so people don't steal my work. I understand, but it's not allowed. I mean, it's not that it's not allowed. It's not encouraged. It's actually discouraged. It's not going to take anything down, but it is not something that they necessarily want on your thumbnail photo. So I mean, I understand what you're saying. Someone also said, what about copyright info for original artwork / designs to prevent people from downloading that and stealing your stuff? I totally get it. I'm going to leave that completely in your hands. Like that, the ball is in your court. Make that decision for your brand. If there's a way that you can get around it, by all means, try. If not, and you want to make sure that no one steals your stuff, that's totally fine. I mean, they're just telling us that it's not an thing that they're encouraging necessarily, but it's not going to like remove the listing from Etsy. Hope that makes sense. Yep. Someone said, isn't Placeit AI generated? I don't think so. There are some, for sure. There are some that are AI generated, but if I'm not mistaken, there are also others, like a good vast majority, that are actual like photos of models. And I only say that because I've seen those same models on Google and Canva. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's a real person in some of them. Make your best judgment again, of course, on there as well. If we're selling original photos and can no longer use watermarks, how can I would just answer that one? It's up to you. You can use watermarks. Don't take this as you can't. They're just not encouraging it. And again, they're not encouraging it mostly. I just hit my mic again. I'm getting very passionate. Mostly in the thumbnail. Okay. So it's your business, girl. Go do it. Do what you got to do. For personalized printed stationery, would photographing the actual product be best, or can we use mock-ups that accurately depict our products? To be honest, personalized printed stationery, say that 10 times fast. I don't think that should be a mock-up, in my opinion, simply because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know what you're selling, but if I'm not mistaken, it's printed. So that's going to be something that is new every single time. So if there is a way for you to make a mock-up out of that, that again accurately represents the end goal, then sure, I don't see why not. But from what you're saying is the product, I don't know if it makes the most sense to make a mock-up unless you make it yourself like I did with these guys. If you can do that, then by all means, let's just say it is a stamp or something or a sticker or whatever. If you can have the sticker be blank and you take a mock-up photo of that and then you just place a new design on it each time, I think that's totally fine. If that's what you were asking, absolutely. Again, another watermark question. Make the decision yourself. Watermarks are not off limits. They're just not encouraged. But again, go do your research on Etsy. Go to creativity standards. Ask Etsy support. Like, never listen. I don't care if it's me or if it's somebody else with 100,000 subscribers. Never listen to anybody on YouTube about what you should do with your Etsy shop without confirming with Etsy first. That's just a blanket statement for this channel, okay? When you list your photos or artwork for sale, make sure it is a low quality. That way, if someone steals the photos, they cannot reprint. That is a workaround. I like that one. One video per listing. Apps. I don't know what they're saying. Absolutely necessary now. It's hard to do for POD products. No, it's not. It's very simple. Get a sample, take a photo or take a video of it, or you can make a video on Canva by just doing the 9 to 10 photos and turning it into an MP4 file, which would be a video instead of a photo. So that could be your photo is a compilation of your photos. That could be your video is a compilation of your photos. However, it's very simple to do that with a sample as well. So if you can get a sample from your POD provider, just make some very quick shots of what it looks like. And then let's say you sell 500 different designs for a Gildan 18,000 crew neck sweatshirt. Just use that same video for all 500 of those designs. You do not have to do that over and over again. Is there a PDF for all of the creativity standard updates? I don't have a PDF for it, but you can go to that video I discussed, and in the description of that video, which again, I will drop below, but in the description of that video, there are multiple links for all of the articles that are actually on Etsy's website. So yes and no, it's not a PDF, but yes, it is a website. Must all photos show the product? I have a photo with a size chart and care instructions. Nope, you are totally good. If you want to add the product in the size chart, like sometimes I would have like a Bella Canvas 3001C and I would have the like shirt itself and then the size chart on the right or left. You totally can, but it's not required. If you sell digital items, can you sell service listings to add music or edit the template? This would be for items in your shop only. I'm not sure what that is, to be honest. I don't want to answer with certainty because I don't know what that is. If you want to hit us up on Facebook with a little bit more information, or even go to hello@everbee.io, send us a message. By all means, or if you want on the bottom of this video, elaborate on that. I will do my best to answer it for you, but I just don't know what you're selling. Someone said they use a shadow overlay. It's very light, but it's there to avoid theft or repeat. Love that idea. That's good as well. So it's not like a logo stamped on it. It's just a little bit of a shadow. That's perfect. Okay, guys, so that's all the time that we have for today. I am so surprised that we got through by 11. But I really appreciate, as always, you guys being here for this whole time. We still have almost 200 people live enjoying this conversation together. So thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your questions. As I mentioned, next Thursday is going to look a little different. It's going to be the exact same time. It's already on YouTube, so you could go set a notification for when we go live next Thursday at 10. But it is going to be me and Scott talking about email marketing and what you should be doing to get ready for Q4. Okay. Thank you guys so much again for being here. I am super excited to have all of you here today and all of you here with me every single week. And until next time, we'll see you then. See ya.